back, everybody. This is Right from Wrong, where we try to figure out what works and what doesn't, especially when it comes to screenwriting, but also, storytelling in general. Today, I've got 5 must-have books for screenwriting, in my opinion, 5 books that have helped me in some way. I've also got 5 other ones you may not have heard of that have helped me, and so let's get right to it. Before we get to the 5 that helped me the most and the 5 lesser-known ones that have helped me, I want to bring in what I would call 2 honorary ones. I haven't finished them yet, but I do enjoy reading them, and I do intend on finishing them, and I can give you a better review of what they're all about after that. But the first one you may have heard of by, some guy, Stephen King, On Writing. I've had this recommended to me many times. I saw it at Barnes & Noble. I picked it up. I started reading it. I was surprised how much so far isn't about writing, but just about his life. And I think that's part of it, is you got to have, experiences to draw from. And I think he's building up of how his experiences have, informed his writing. So I'm interested to see how this goes. Again, this is Stephen King with On Writing. Another one that I picked up that I'm really excited about reading. Unfortunately, I haven't finished it yet. I've honestly barely begun it, but there's a lot of good information in here. And this is from John York, Into the Woods. This looks like a really good book on story structure. Again, I haven't finished it, so I can't speak on it, but just flipping through it, it looks like some very in-depth stuff about psychology, about protagonists, multiple protagonists, even Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes into play. I'm really, interested in reading that kind of stuff because, that makes your characters more believable, makes the conflicts more authentic, and makes your stories better. So again, that's John York's Into the Woods. Okay, like I said, it's in no real particular order, but let's begin with 5 of the most important books you could probably read as a screenwriter or storyteller. You gotta have John Truby. I mean, he's one of the most sought after story consultants, world famous. He's got some great videos online too, great interviews I've seen. The Anatomy of Story, it's one of the popular books. It'll definitely help you, again, with psychology, story structure. I would recommend this one. Now, I'll flip to the 5 lesser known ones in, again, no particular order necessarily. This was maybe the second screenwriting book I ever bought, probably 25 years ago in a Barnes & Noble. I think they only had 2 or 3 available at the time. Now it seems like there's 100 of them. But this one has stood the test of time for me. Making a Good Script Great. I had the second edition from Linda Seeger. A lot of good information in here, especially for beginning writers. You start getting the hang of the format and you're like, well, what's the difference between me and a professional? Well, a lot. And some of the clues and ways of making your writing better, where you can advance to that next level, are in this book. I highly recommend, especially for a beginner. Maybe a more experienced screenwriter might not need a book like this, but at the time I read it, it was a great influence on me, and I would recommend it to someone else. All right, you ready for some controversy? My number 4, counting down, for books that I recommend, Save the Cat. You're going to see a lot of love for this book. You're going to see a lot of hate for this book. And the truth is, somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of good information in here about storytelling. I would ignore some of the parts about where something has to happen at a specific page number. But for a beginner, honestly, it's not quite paint by numbers. I've heard it referred to as paint by numbers or formulaic, and to a degree it is. But I would still recommend this to get a gist of how a story is generally told, at least in mainstream Hollywood. I do believe there has been a little bit of a departure from this in the past couple years. That could just be my bias or my opinion, but I still recommend it as a decent book. Save the Cat, if you can, do it. All right, this is my next book for lesser known screenwriting books that helped me when I was starting out and I would recommend. And that is How Not to Write a Screenplay. Like I said in the last one, making a good screenplay great, or good script great, you start getting the hang of it. You start getting used to the way that a screenplay is put together. You get used to writing visually and stuff like that. But there's still very common mistakes. I believe this one has 101 and counts them down as such, with examples on how to fix it. So it'll give you some of the most common mistakes by early or even, experienced screenwriters, and it'll give you suggestions on how to fix it. I haven't seen this one as popular as some of the other screenwriting books, but early on, this was a big help to me, and I would recommend it. Counting down, number 3 of my most recommended screenwriting books, also popular. You've probably seen it or heard of it, probably read it. Robert McKee's Story. Again, pretty much necessary reading if you're starting out. To me, maybe it was just my experience, wasn't the easiest read, but there's a lot of good information, a lot of good examples of structure and different styles, different scripts and movies. Robert McKee, what can you say? Recommend. All right, this is number 3 counting down of my lesser known screenwriting books that helped. This one, other than maybe my top first screenwriting book that I ever read, this might actually have been the most helpful, and that was 101 Habits of Highly Successful Screenwriters. I mean, it breaks it down, 101 habits, and every screenwriter, and there's a list of them on the front, some very famous screenwriters, some are still successful in writing to this day. Got Ron Bass, Steve D'Souza, Leslie Dixon, Akiva Goldsman, Nicholas Kazan, hope I pronounced that right, Eric Roth, Tom Schulman, Robin Swickard. Apologize if I'm butchering these names. I should know this. But just reading about other writers and their opinions on different things and their habits. I mean, early on, you're like, I'm going to write, I'm excited. Eventually, that excitement kind of wears off. And you need to get into a discipline. You need to get into a habit of a routine. Like, how am I going to approach writing? I learned a lot from this book. Maybe not like the nuts and bolts of screenwriting, but just being a writer and what goes on in a professional writer's head. I found this highly helpful. Number 2, counting down to some of my most influential and helpful and most recommended screenwriting books. Again, if you've been doing this for more than a couple months, you've probably seen this book. You may already own it. The Screenwriter's Bible. This is a great resource. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the script format by now. I've been doing it on and off for 26 years. So I'm pretty familiar with how to write a specific scene, in the normal conventional way. But every once in a while you hit that one thing like, oh crap, I forgot how to do that. But there's a lot of great information in here. I use it more of a resource. I did not read it straight cover to cover, but I've probably read it cover to cover, in passing, just because you come up to a question, how do I do this? What's the best way to do this? And 99.9% of the time, the answer's in the Screenwriter's Bible. Get it, put it on your bookcase or your shelf or whatever, and you're going to need it eventually. And the answers in here are great. A lot of great information. I use it as a resource. You may choose to just read the whole thing straight through, and I'd recommend it. Okay, this is a lesser known book to me. I mean, others, I've seen it recommended, but I don't see it talked about quite enough, and that's Writing for Emotional Impact by Carl Iglesias. I found it good. I don't know, really. I don't have a specific story to tell you about this one. I believe I saw a video on YouTube, probably with Film Courage or somebody like that. They mentioned this book. I got it. I read it. A lot of great examples from movies that most of us have seen. And if we haven't seen it, we should probably watch them, because these are classics. But there's a lot of great examples, a lot of great scenes, and how to make them more emotional. A lot of times people say, they want their audience members to cry or whatever, or they want them to laugh. You have to care about the person, you have to care about the situation. And I think writing for emotional impact is a great resource for learning how to do that. Now, before I do my number 1 of the known recommended, at least in my experience, I'm going to do my number 1 of the lesser known first. And this is a book that would have helped me immensely 25 years ago. If you don't know much about me, you probably don't. I started learning screenwriting. I originally was a novelist, short storyist. just a story writer in any genre, really, and in any format. But I really started getting drawn to the screenplay format because I didn't really believe I was a flowery, prosy writer. And I like the fact that screenwriting it can be very simplistic at times and a lot of space on the page. This book, I mean, if I'd had it then, I'd probably be a lot further along in my career, honestly. I basically wrote for a few years, I think I got like 3 features under my belt, none of them produced, obviously, and then I kind of shied away from screenwriting. I wrote other things. I joined a band. I was doing other stuff. I just didn't think it was feasible. I didn't know anybody. I live on the East Coast, not really near a huge, movie studio or anything that I knew of. So having a book like this then, and let me, That's Not the Way It Works by Bob Saenz. I mean, this just cuts through the chase. I mean, this shows you not just about writing the screenplay, but about the business side, about your chances and how to make the most of them. And at a time when I had no concept of, other than, let's move to LA and, be a writer and wait tables during the day, that wasn't feasible for me at that time. Probably not a lot of people. Had I had this book then, I think I would have seen at least the light at the end of the tunnel and at least saw a little bit of a blueprint on how to get from A to Z. I didn't see that in the early 2000s. And a book like this, if you're just starting out, even if you're an experienced writer, I recommend it because it just, as it says, a no-nonsense guide to the craft and business of screenwriting from a produced screenwriter. I believe over 20 produced films now. He knows what he's talking about. I've met him, great guy. He's a big help to young screenwriters. And I wish I had him or somebody like him 20 years ago, because I'd probably be about 10 years at least further in my career. But again, recommend it highly, especially if you're just starting out or you don't see a way to get things, read. That's Not the Way It Works by Bob Saenz. All right, and last, and definitely not least, though some people may fight me on this, this was the first book I read on screenwriting. It was one of 2 or 3 that was at Barnes & Noble's near my house. I picked it up. I read it cover to cover probably 5-6 times, at least twice, maybe 3 times before I even tried to write anything on the page. I took it to heart maybe a little bit too much. I wanted to do it by the book. I'm a big do it by the book. I wasn't a big there is no rules fan at that time. I wanted rules, I wanted structure, like tell me what to do and I'll figure it out. And this book did that. It gave me the guidelines, it gave me the conventions of normal screenwriting, and it helped me greatly. I mean, it took me from 0 to, 60. So 60%. A lot of what I know and practice today comes from Sid Field's Screenplay. Most of you have probably seen it. Many of you have probably read it. I have the 3rd edition. It's probably changed a few times since then. Just great. I mean, just starting out, going from nothing. It explains the structure of a basic movie, gives you examples, and that's what I needed at that time. I needed some visuals. I needed some rules. I got them, and now that I know them, and times have changed. There's things in here that I'm sure have changed from when he originally wrote it, and it's been updated multiple times. But to me, Sid Field's Screenplay was the biggest influence, the biggest help in getting me to actually start writing and say, okay, I'm not good yet, but I can be. And again, highly recommend. I know it's a classic. I know it may be a little outdated to some people, but if you want to learn screenplay, this is how I did it. Sid Field, between him and Truby and Trottier, Bob Saenz' book, I mean, that's really all you need. You learn the structure, you learn the conventions, and you learn how to tell a great story. You first have a great story, then learn how to tell it. And that's it. Those are the books that I highly recommend. Some of the lesser known ones and some of the more popular ones. If there's any books that you'd like to see mentioned on here or you'd like to recommend to me, just put it in the comments. I'll take a look at them. I'm always reading some. Appreciate it.